ために最も必要なもの、それは運です。
Hey everyone, and welcome back to a new edition of the Project WEBTOONs podcast, coming in for another hot week of some of the latest webtoons as they drop. We're talking with the beginning after the end, Descent of Demonic Master, FFF-Class Trashero, Lore Olympus, God of Highschool, and much more. I am, of course, as always, it is me, your big man, Sleepy.
Oh, this is Dr. Goon.
Yes, you forgot your cue part there?
No, I was
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I figured it's because the third person was in here. You usually rely on him to continue that trifecta, but it's all right.
I have food in my mouth.
I'm happy for you. Is it good food?
Remind me not to ask for. Remind me to not to ask for no tomatoes next time.
Okay, I'll remind you next time when you order that to not get tomatoes. If I'm with you, I guess. Other than that, how you doing this week, man?
Hungry.
Hungry? Just an entire week of hungry?
Yes.
Oh, well, I'm glad you got your fill now finally. So, well, while you snack up and gain some power, we'll go ahead and we want to get into some good discussions. As always, though, if you haven't subscribed to us, please do hit that button down below. You know, we got all that fun stuff coming up, as well as new things in the bucket. Once again, it's just me and Ark this time. Our homie Seraph is still out. He did a move recently, so a little bit of hand shuffling there. So we'll probably get him in here if he doesn't pop back in at any point here. But we'll get started in and jump into our first one. I wanted to start off with this one right at the back with beginning after the end. Because second day of school, but first day of teaching mode.
Is this second day of school?
This is second day of school. I would say this is second day because he's.
This is his second day, but it's not actually second day of school.
Well, it is.
Took a break in between.
I mean, I don't know if they actually said he took a break to heal, because I think they're like, yeah, he healed up pretty quickly in the next day. It's faster than normal, but yeah, it is.
He like passed out for like 3 days or something?
Maybe. It's at least his second day of school.
We'll go with that.
We'll go with that. It is at least day 2 for him doing school, but it is day 1 of Sensei Arthur. And yeah, we got into this chapter, and I mean, it doesn't even start off with him in the infirmary again. It starts off with him well, he was already out of the infirmary and he was going to the training course, which I was right before. Someone in our comments, thank you very much, brought up that that room that he went into is his personal training area.
Okay, I mean, I figured that out from the beginning of this chapter. But
well, yes, that too. But yeah, so he's still injured, but he's taking on these dummy dolls pretty easily on his own, and he's just demolishing them. Granted, you know, the whole thing is that they're trying to get him calibrated to whatever specification he needs. But I will say that it quickly shows off Arthur's like, I'm already pretty much at the point that I could be a teacher, just because he starts spouting off some knowledge about like, well, the dummy's real easy, the joints are messed up, and you know, if you gave it this kind of very complex shield, it would probably do a little better at, you know, being able to handle attacks. And they're all just staring at him, and I'm like, oh, so we don't even need like a montage of him training or like, you know, making a curriculum, anything. He's pretty much got this packed. But I was more interested wondering when we actually got to the classroom, because I figured, you know, he got scrapped about this whole thing when he was, well, before he got injured, he was getting backlash about it. So I figured on the first day of class, he'd get the same kind of mentality. And I was right. He does crip walk his way into the room, and it's a full classroom, and of course there's a bunch of like at least some higher advanced students there, some maybe second level or second year students there, just to cause some trouble. And as we would suspect, one of them jumps down, tries to make himself big man, talk shit, and Arthur quickly puts him in his place. So out of the whole thing, Ark, how did you enjoy at least day 1 of teaching?
I mean, meh.
meh? It was just meh. Like, what makes it meh? Were you
I feel like
expecting him to like beat one of the students or something?
No, it's meant as in like it's more as in world building for like the magic system now, and because that's what that was. That this entire chapter basically encompasses like, hey, let me tell you guys why you guys are wrong about using your mana and everything, and let me teach you how to do it right.
Well, I mean, it's not even just partial world building himself, but also Arthur laying down like a different level of thinking, even philosophically, because he had that other teacher who was trying to like engage the students on the idea of like there is no real definitive line that makes an augmenter better or an augmenter worse than a conjurer. And, you know, even there, the students didn't seem to entirely grasp it. Now Arthur's using the exact same thing, but trying to put it in a more practical manner for them. And yeah, I mean, just him carrying that through and then him like, all right, well, let me give you an actual example that you can see and try and do, and like watch them all struggle to just do something he does right away, very basically. So I will agree to that level of it being like, yeah, this is some world building, but I do like that they add in that little bit of touch for him to like just push a different thought process on them at the same time.
Now I was excited about was the princess be like, hey, this is the part where I take the initiative, right?
That was the part you said, the part where the princess finally puts her 2 cents into this fight, finally?
She was like, hey, I'm gonna invite you over now, right? Like, this is where we go over, and then you find out my parents aren't home, and then, like, we do this, right? Like...
Oh, she's gonna go that far? She's just she's gonna go that aggro all the way into the paint?
No, I wish she did.
Oh, come on. I mean... She's already being a little bit more go-getter than we did get with Tess about the whole thing. Granted, I mean, we haven't gotten like much. What?
I said Tess got the kiss.
I mean, Tess did get the kiss finally, but you know how many years has it been? And and even then, we don't get much like interpersonal backstory with the princess. You know, like what she's doing, what she's thinking about this whole time. And granted, Arthur even brings that up when she sits down. He's like, I can never tell what this girl is thinking. So, you know, us not having that context where we get to see Tess like freak out about every little thing, you figure that a few of the other ladies would have a different display at how they want to approach Arthur, and he's already made his presence rather well known in wanting to make some other friends as well. But yeah, so one more on the scoreboard for Princess Catherine. I kind of want to hear Sarah's 2 cents on this, since I know he is all Team Tess right now. But either way, I did not like where the chapter ended though, where she just like, I gotta tell you something, and I'm like, but there's like supposed to be like one more panel that's supposed to shock us, right? Like, is this where something else? No,
that's what we're at for next.
That's all you get. Unless I want to read the light novel and, you know, super rush ahead, but I'm keeping myself under control for that. But yeah, anything else we got from those 2 chapters?
No, that was basically it, right?
Yeah, basically it. I mean, I figured we'd get more of a bite down on, you know, just the magical system, which is nice, because we've already got at least 2 or 3 different in-depth discussions about the entire mana system and the magical application. So I'm glad that it's like it's not going away after it's being explained. Like, they're kind of still drilling it into the reader, because I'm gonna guess that some of these new ideas are gonna be brought out. But yeah, so we'll go ahead. We'll move on to our next one here with the highest of the demonic masters. Do you want to take this one there, Ark?
You mean Descent of the Demonic Master?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I call him the highest.
Okay,
he's such a good demonic master, though.
Not a lot happened. Like, it was just the kids, the orphan kids are like kind of dealing with the fallout of
their plan,
right? Because like they're like, yeah, I've never been popular before, and this is, I don't know if this is better or worse than actually being bullied, because like now I have all this attention on me, and I was like, I just want to be left alone.
I don't know how to handle this new social status.
Yeah, and and then we have it where our main character here is just kind of coming to terms with like, oh, this is how kids do it nowadays.
I mean, yeah, I mean, he's lived literally 2 different lives in basically being a kid or a teenager, so it is kind of hard for him to switch between which one is probably the most accurate way to handle things. But it does at least take us back into the past and explain his master.
Kind of. We're
starts.
getting there. Yeah,
it starts.
We have it. Yeah, we have the start of the flashback of, hey, this is what happened, and this is how we got the pizza scene. And I was thinking that the pizza scene would be later, and like not from the very beginning, because then that kind of makes sense as to like why it was wrong. But yeah.
But the way at least the way he's handled himself all this time, and even his I wouldn't say overbearing or overarching, but his like extreme tendencies and philosophies, especially like how like this is how you handle bullies and other things. It's just like, well, you become stronger than them and over dominate, and that's how you solve those situations. And now you get to him like at his beginning in his second life, where he was learning his abilities, and you're like, well, you figured, okay, like most demonic stories, you figured he'd start off in the same kind of manner. He gets picked up and he's the last survivor of like some horrible training method, and they teach him in this very dark manner of like how to do these things. And no, his teacher's kind of a old man Joker kind of thing. He doesn't at all act like that.
Old man.
Huh?
He's an eccentric old man.
Yeah, he's an eccentric old man. He's not like this. He's not this weird violent person. He's not like all power must be power and crush all those that are beneath you or in your way or anything like that.
Oh, he's very much the opposite of that, where like you find out that the base of their martial arts and their cultivation technique is like, no, this was meant for like the poor people, the peasants.
It's literally meant to protect the peasants, the poor, and the weak. It's not at all like based on the principle of like you just being the strongest there is or trying to attain the strongest level there is, kind of thing.
No, but that's what makes it a demonic technique, though, because it's labeled a demonic technique.
Well, yes, it is labeled a demonic technique for those reasons, but just the simple application of it and how it's being taught is not in the same way that you get from most cultivating demonic story backs. It's usually in a very like Dark's way of his learning his demonic technique. You're like, oh yeah, okay, that's what I would expect. But yeah, I like the eccentric old man. I do like his clearly like nonchalant attitude at how to handle and talk to people, especially when he's in that shop and he's just running around the person's house and asking where's the food or why there isn't food for the kids, and just like shouting out loud at the proprietor. And then he's like, oh, okay, he understands that there's someone's come in and take things, and he's
here we hunted the deer ticket.
Yeah, he's going to help them out, kind of thing. Yeah. So it is kind of funny, but like if this was the backstory for him, it's like, how do you get from this to the guy who ends up becoming so powerful and hated by all other sects and betrayed by his own comrade kind of mentality? Like,
again, like his technique is a demonic technique. Like it's labeled like wrong already. Regardless, it's just.
Well, I mean, even if it's labeled wrong, you still figure like the way he's acting. Like, yeah, people call it wrong, but the people who are actually using it or in line know that like it's not evil. It's just the fact that it's more powerful than somebody else's that they call it that. The person who uses it is actually a good person.
I don't think it's because it's more powerful. It's that, okay, it's a status thing, right? So like it is the top 1%, which is all like the cultivators and the fighters who don't want. The dangerous part about this technique is that no, regular people can just do it.
Well, yeah, regular people can use it.
Yeah, so because regular people can do it, then they're like, no, we don't want regular people knowing how to do this.
Yeah.
And that's why it's an unnamed technique.
Well, yeah, I got that part. But his mentality doesn't it doesn't explain that other
later
bit.
on how
Yeah.
he is like a cold-hearted person.
Well, like exactly like you would expect from a demonic practitioner. You know, you get that hardened, dark kind of mentality.
It didn't, because it didn't ever seem like he was ever like a demonic practitioner. It was more like he was just like, no, I just didn't have any social skills, and I didn't know that.
Well, I mean,
literally didn't know, like, when a person was acting this way, that this meant this way, like this that said.
Well, you would figure that would be from like his upbringing, but you clearly see his eccentric teacher is like, he's not bad at having social skills. Even when he's talking to the lady there as a kid, he has some level of social skill. You know, it wasn't something he picked up from his master, but something probably happened that made him more cold and logical to how to handle things. That's what I'm saying is, you know, the motion of change here is what we're trying to see occur.
I'm assuming what it was his master dies.
Well, I'm gonna guess his master dies, and it's either, well, the way that it ends, it seems like, yeah, something catastrophic happens, because it's like, yeah, my master's training was, we don't react to what's going on, or we don't prepare for the inevitable bad, because it's not our place to do that. And he basically states like, yeah, we should have, because something occurred. But yeah, so we're at least getting more story on his time in the other world, which is one thing we've missed so far from the overall, you know, the overall plot. So I'm excited to see at least what the history is here, if it'll explain anything else that we've come to know about our main our MC here. But anything else that you found interesting from these? Well, it was only 2 chapters, right?
It was only 2 chapters.
Yeah, it was only 2.
It was 1 week.
Yeah. Well, I always space on this because sometimes it's only 1, sometimes it's 2, sometimes there's 3. They can be really funny with the release schedule. But anything else in here though?
No.
All right. We'll go ahead. We'll move on here to our next one. Your favorite of all favorites, the trashiest of motherfuckers. That FF-Class bitch.
Yes.
I swear. So we have obtained, I think he just decided to call it Holy Sword 3, if I'm correct. We have obtained Holy Sword 3. We have...
and then he gives it to his sister.
He gives it to his sister. Yeah, he doesn't... Well, he starts to talk to it. He belittles it and tells it to shut up, and then asks her to...
basically just like, hey, just tell me what to go now.
Tell me all the like requirements I need to be a hero. And he starts getting, and he's like, I don't even care. This is pointless, and gives it to his sister.
He keeps telling him things where he's like, you know, I could already, like, I beat that already, right? Like, I'm past that point. Just what next? No, this is okay. You're useless. Cool,
yeah,
here.
This is pointless.
Here, you take this thing. This thing is bad. It's fine.
So yeah, passes it off to his little sister, and they head into town because she's informed him of a cave that is supposed to be called like the hero's training cave, or the training cave that he needs to journey to next. And they head to town first in order to go talk to supposedly the head sorcerer there.
The sage.
Yeah, the sage. And of course, you know, in his grand fashion, as he does, uses his divinity to cut the line, the extremely massive line. We're talking Disney World plus Cedar Point here, and makes his way up the tower with his sister. Makes it into the sage's the sage's place, gets into more or less an argument with the sage right away, who of course turns out to be like, I don't know, like a 12-year-old kid or something, as always. And before the sage can attack him, he unleashes waifu.
His angel
waifu, which in turn causes the sage to grow a nosebleed and pass out. So, I mean, yeah, these are all like the points I'd expect from him. And right away, he does something exactly like I thought he'd do. He just steals the sage's weapon.
Yeah, he steals the staff and is like, all right, we're going to go to this Coliseum.
Yeah, we're going to go to this fighting Coliseum because screw it. This is what we do. Yeah, so slowly but surely, it seems like this is all turning into him more or less building his own journey team, even though he's kind of not trying to do that, but he is.
He's only reluctantly doing it because he doesn't know these steps in like in this run, right?
Well,
He doesn't
this
know
run
how
has
to-
changed.
Yeah,
Instead of doing it like it has been before, where he's the outsider hero that needs to save the land from the Demon King and blah blah blah, they've made him now a part of the world and given him a role with being a brother, and just, you're a holy person, but you know, no one really knows of the hero themselves. So he's doing the information gathering, but at this time he's at least like, he's getting comrades, but he's not like being forced comrades as he was before. So the run's turning out a little different. Granted, I don't know if it will end in the same manner. I mean, he hates all of them, but at least this time he doesn't really need them in any battle, since he can handle literally everything on his own. But I'm guessing the purpose of the battle arena was to go find a new battle mage to either steal from or either acquire.
Battle mage, because he might be just looking for someone who can make something. Because it definitely because they were fighting with like magical mecha things.
Yeah, they were. So I mean, he stole the staff, but they didn't say like why he needed the staff. And then he goes down to the arena. So I don't know if they're like particularly trying to find someone to make something, or if they're needing someone that can use the staff to properly like point them in a direction. That's the part where I'm still trying to figure out exactly what the move we're going with here. So yeah, but it does end with the tower sage joining them on the quest.
Yes.
So we've acquired a third person.
Them. He wants to learn.
Well, he wants to learn from him and how to handle talking to
how to not have nosebleeds, apparently.
How to learn how to talk to women. Yeah. Well, actually, no, I take that back. He did say he was trying to confirm something from that other hero. I think it was that if you've completed the world run, you have the ability to leave and go back to the real world at will. I think that's what he's trying to do.
Yeah, but we know that's not going to be the case for him, because it's not that you have to complete it. You have to complete it with like a passable grade.
A weird passable grade that we don't know about. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know him. He's all about breaking those rules as they are. So either way. Yeah. Anything on those two chapters though? Anything that I missed or didn't pick up?
No.
No? You sure?
Yeah.
All right. We'll go ahead. We'll move on here to our next one though. Not to be outdone, I do want to do a big talk on this one. Since we got two chapters in with Lord Olympus and some personal feelings going around here with everything going on. Artemis not doing so hot after her run-in with not only her brother and her mother, but also
No, start from the beginning. We have the bit where it's Eros who's talking to his waifu that he doesn't know that is his waifu.
Well, I don't mean it's just the beginning of that. Like that previous chapter is where she talked to her mother and brother.
Yeah.
And then ran into Eros, and they kind of had a bit of an argument because she knows that he knows what's going on. But yeah, Eros is talking to his waifu. He doesn't know that is his waifu. And his father and mother are watching, and they both know. Well, granted, his mother's the one who did it, and his father clearly can see beyond that.
It's not like she looks that different. I don't understand how he doesn't see it. But then he talks to her.
I mean,
and
there's a skin change and a full change to her, so it's okay. But keep going.
Yeah, he talks about like how he's like, you know, like no one trusts me, but you know, Persephone did actually know Eros well, you know, like. Yeah, so Persephone being sheltered didn't know Eros as well as everyone else. So
yeah,
like,
she doesn't know. She doesn't know his true history and mentality.
Yeah, because you know, obviously being the god, like a god of love, then like you're kind of privy to everything and kind of end up telling everyone that hey, this bitch likes this bitch, you know, kind of like shit. So you're
always in that gossip circle.
Yeah, you're always in the gossip circle. So Arrow finds it very like endearing and very like he's like, you know what? Persephone trusts me, and I want to maintain that trust.
Yeah,
this is the one time he's like, yeah, I know what's going on, but I can't tell you, Artemis.
Yeah,
because
he actually has a relationship of trust.
The one person who honestly believes that like she trusts me with this information.
Yeah.
And then and then his mom and his dad are just like, you know, he's an idiot, right? And they're like, yeah.
Oh.
He'll figure it out, hopefully, right?
They're gods. They have all the time.
Yeah, and then we have Artemis talk about like how she has problems being a twin, but not just a twin, right? Like even in Greek history.
She has a problem being the second to her brother. It makes sense. Like
the second to her brother, and even more so, she compared it to like, you know, the sun and the moon. Like the sun is important, and the moon is just kind of like an afterthought, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like so, and that's how she feels. And she feels that, you know, like just not enough trust is to just tell her what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And suddenly she realizes that like all these people who have been like, hey, we're a part of this virgin club, and then she's like, wait.
Are you two dating?
Yeah, are you two dating? And they're like, what? You know, Athena and who was Athena seeing?
I don't remember. I don't think they said it. I can't remember. I'd have to look at it again.
I know it's Athena.
I know it's Athena.
I don't know who the guy is. But yeah, so then she's like, so everyone has been lying to me, you know, like that's how she feels. Yeah,
like no, everyone's got secrets. Besides, you know, everyone's got secrets on something and won't trust me with anything. And on top of that, even when the secret has to involve her brother. And, you know, she says, like, yeah, I know I'm a twin. And even though I feel secondary, he always stood up for me, no matter what it was. So it seems like it's double hurting her because it has something important to do with the other half of her. And she just doesn't know why no one will trust her with this knowledge. So, yeah. Artemis is in kind of a bad time, and she's trying to find anybody she can go to talk about this. So it ends up with her going to the one person who's mostly in the center of all of this, but I don't think he has all the information. At least he doesn't have the information of what's really going down between Persephone and Apollo.
Yes.
But yeah, he does at least know what Apollo was trying to do. So, do we think that he will actually say anything to her that'll at least give her more tip, or because he's kept that one pretty to himself most of the time?
Kind of, maybe it's more like he's been locked up and he hasn't had any reason to say it to anyone.
I guess he has been in house arrest.
House arrest. So
I guess he does. What's up?
We'll find out what happens. You know, and
but besides all of that going down, we still got back with Persephone and going down with her as she learns about her mother is on the run currently and hiding.
Which I will say this, I don't think this makes much sense in like the old lore, because Demeter was like, no, Zeus, what? No, like all the time.
Demeter would not like be pushed around by Zeus. She's as much of a powerhouse, and she's also still technically a Titan herself.
Yeah, she's the oldest one of the pantheon, and she's like, no, Zeus, I will slap you. Because you're a man, and we're just like, sure, whatever, just shut the fuck up. Like, that's literally what it is. Demeter's just like, leave me alone. I'm just going to take care of the plants and like just the world. All right, just no, okay, then I'm going to slap you. Like that's how Demeter always is in the lore. But like here, she's like, I'm on the run. I'm like, why is Demeter on the run? She has no reason to. She could just
I don't know.
Zeus.
She could just slap him, but I think it's more on the run because she doesn't want like the real truth about Corey to come out. So she's probably like hiding and trying to find a way to break the curse, because that is one thing that Hector actually states out loud. She's like, the curse is obviously stronger than I thought it was. So maybe that could be the reason why she's not like trying to make her presence known.
I guess, but it's whatever. It's this version of Demeter, so I'm okay with it.
I mean, at the end of the day, I figure if Zeus does really do anything, Demeter will show up and beat the shit out of him more than anything else. But either way, yeah, Mom's on the run, while Persephone is in full worry mode. But she does get some sage wisdom from Hector, who helps her out and basically tells her that she needs
advice is this: go see a
therapist. I mean, why not? She clearly.
This is right. This is completely right. I just wasn't expecting this to be the advice.
I mean, why we've pretty much noticed that they're basically keeping all the gods as if they're real people, you know. So they have problems. They need to go talk to somebody else.
Answer to a mythological
question. How do we answer this? Why didn't they ever go see a therapist? You know, that's a damn good question. Why didn't they do that? All the knowledge in all the cosmos, and they couldn't have just come up with, why don't you just sit down and talk this shit out? I mean,
wait, do that? Yes.
I mean, how many mythical stories really could have been solved if they would have just sat down and talked about it? If you really think about it.
Almost all of them except Zeus's shenanigans.
Zeus's shenanigans would never ever end. But the end of the chapter though, the big not even big reveal, but the big happening with Hera suddenly waking up screaming after a nightmare.
Yeah, she has a nightmare where she's young Hades
and her
is trying to tell Hera to not marry Zeus.
Yeah. And not go through with whatever traditional thing that she has to do.
Yeah. And not go through the plan and not marry Zeus. I mean, you know, obviously that plan leads to the bit where Hera betrays Kronos.
Yeah.
And she hears and sees Kronos in her dreams. And she has an old injury that basically like reopens itself, right?
I'm not sure if it's particular injury. It looks very similar to Hades' injuries, to his scars.
Yeah, it's some sort of injury. It's definitely an injury.
But it's probably one that is caused also by Kronos because of the way that it ends with both of them like in the shower, Zeus telling her that it was all a bad dream, and her screaming that, you know, he could see her, and then the wound is glowing hot. And she's also basically leaking blood.
Yes.
From the wound. So this is either a warning that either Kronos is fully aware and planning something, or he's on the move to do something else.
He's probably on the move to do something, because we definitely know that he's aware.
We definitely know he's aware that there's another fertility goddess. We know that. And clearly whatever chains that are keeping him tied down aren't enough to at least allow his abilities to permeate and leak out. So, but yeah, we're starting to get into the motions of, you know, a new enemy is approaching while we're dealing with all of these other broken problems at the same time.
It's like what I said is like, you know, like how it's explained in mythology is that gods don't die. You can't just kill them. They basically just go away because you just stop praying to them.
Well, yeah, so, they cease to exist once prayer ends to them. More or less, anything that happens to them in their stories, though, they're not really killed as much as they're just somehow entrapped for however long.
Yeah, so we're here now where it's like, oh yeah, so, you know, Zeus basically just disposed of his dad, but like you can't kill a god. So he's just like, yeah, we're just going to take you off the throne, and it's the age of the new gods, and you're done.
Well, if I'm trying to remember from his mythology, he should be holding up the world, correct?
No, that's not Kronos.
That's not Kronos.
That's Atlas.
Yeah, that's right. That's Atlas. But yeah, so the gods are at least. I don't know if this is going to deter Zeus into putting all of the crap that he's currently pushing down with Persephone and Demeter and all of that.
You mean the bit that kind of surprised you, where like somehow Zeus at moments is like a good husband?
Yeah, that was surprising. Like he actually came to her aid. He was and he was caring and everything. So it's like, oh, so you have these flashes of where you can be an actual good person. It's very rare.
You actually have a heart. Okay, cool. You just have a really horny dick. Okay.
He's got that sex problem. That's all it is.
I don't have a problem. I mean, dude, I'm sure you know.
I think you might. I think you might have a little bit of an issue though. So, yeah. Well, we'll have to see with the chapters as they come out. I don't know if you've already started reading ahead again. My guess is yes.
No, not this time.
Oh, okay. So not this time. All right. Well, we'll see where this leads off in the next couple of chapters as they come out. I am interested to look forward more towards everything as it kind of goes on. I'm still waiting to see what the hell their mom is up to and who she went to go talk to. They have not had her show back up yet. So we'll see how that kind of...
Alan Artemis's mom. I mean,
yeah.
I thought she was going down to go talk to Hades, so we'll see what happens.
We only implied that was... She never actually states out loud who she was going to go talk to. And in these 2 chapters, they've had enough time to, like, even for Hector to make her way from where she was with Demeter all the way back here to talk. So I don't know how long it takes for the gods to travel. But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see with those later chapters, though. But we'll go ahead. We'll move on here into our next one. From one lady to another, we'll go with Mookhyang, the darkest of all the ladies. We got 4 chapters.
4 chapters, yeah.
4 or 5 chapters. Yeah.
4 or 5 chapters, yeah.
Yeah. Pops was on the search. Pops found the remnants of the battle. And then we got a
very deduces exactly
very long chapter of just deductions, just Sherlock Holmes deduction. Was that just funny? Like, he's just literally like pointing and going like exactly how it laid out, and I'm like,
no, it wasn't just him. It wasn't just him. It was also like the other what's his name? The guy with the mustache, the guy who doesn't want to return back to his home.
The one dude who doesn't want to return home.
Who knows like the footprints. He's like, oh, I can tell exactly with those footprints and the weight and the distribution that is this item. And I was like, wait, how the fuck do you know that?
I can tell because this is the 4th stance of so-and-so's maneuver. I'm like, what?
Yes, only these grandmasters use this technique, so they have this footwork. And I was like, man, I'm not saying that's impossible to know, but like
that's some deep level over knowledge. I mean, he even knows that like the Corinth soldiers were using the 2 reds, and then they noticed that the pattern changes here, so this must have been a completely new model.
I've never seen this footwork before. So this is a different completely model. You're like, oh, how do you know that? Have you looked at every single like foot of like every single Titan before or something?
Yes, he has. They really could have gone with like a random quote or a stupid little translator note of just like Detective Conan right here. Just, I have all this knowledge and I'm just going to dispense it, even though I've just now looked upon all of this battle. Yeah, so they go through the whole sleuthing session. They pretty much, and they learn from that also exactly where each party was going at the end of the day too. I still wasn't quite sure how they figured that part out, really. But they learned that Dark went along with the soldiers from Corinth, because it seems like their foot patterns were leading in that direction. I don't know. But yeah, they make their way to the capital. And we're introduced, we're not introduced to the royalty. We're introduced to the Duke and the Grand Mage, and I don't know who the chick was. That wasn't what's her name.
No.
That was somebody else. I don't know who that was.
They're noob characters.
Well, they're royal. They're somehow royal characters. They're involved with at least the military strategy, because the whole talk they were having specifically was about basically
we're going to invade the country. Oh,
we're gonna start a war.
Dude, that sounds like a bad idea. No, we're gonna do it. Dude, I just want to sit in this castle and not do anything. Can we not?
just
No, you're the grand mage of this place. You have to do what I tell you. Nah, bro, I'm your friend.
I'm your friend. And wait. Yeah, we built this castle. Excuse you. I built this castle. You just live in it. But I'm also just your friend. I don't have to do what you say. Yeah. So.
And then he kind of throws a tantrum.
Yeah, he basically does, and then he goes,
he's like, fine, I guess. What? For sure. Just stop whining.
Yeah. But yeah, we know that Duke, the other two dukes are basically hosting Dark there as he just slovenly eats up a whole feast to himself, and they have to go back to make the report. But before that happens, we know that the one Grand Master, who I don't know how quickly you could tell that he was a dragon, like right away.
No, it was pretty obvious because they talk about like, oh, I sense a dragon in the air.
Well, even before then, like his eyes were like completely different from everybody else. I was like, there's something really weird about him. And then the moment he's like, I sense a dragon up there. I'm like, okay, so you're a dragon, got it. Like, we're not gonna hide this. This is fairly obvious. Like, cool, we're good.
No, as soon as that question was answered too, I was like, so does everyone else not know that you're a dragon too or something? Because it seems like he's like, no, I built this castle and I lived here for so fucking long.
Yeah,
but then everyone
60
else
years.
like another human being, and I was like, does he do the thing where he's just like, all right, this is my son, and he's just throwing
a fit. He's just throwing a fit.
And he just changes over to like a different, like a younger version of himself every like 30 years or something. Like
maybe that's what this is. I don't know. Their dynamic seemed really weird. I didn't know. Like when I even noticed, I'm like, okay, he's a dragon. Why are they talking to him like this? Like,
yeah, like I was like, they don't know he's a dragon, then, right? That's the only thing to think of.
It's either that or they know it and they're just like, it's fine. I don't care. Because it seems like they have either some level of like split power, so like even if they were to fight, they could take him on still. I don't know if that's what it was, but yeah, it seemed really weird at how he was just talking down to him. Like, I feel like this is a bad idea, but yeah, like it's just a stupid plan. But either way, he knows Dark is in here, he knows another dragon is here, and the two dukes come to give their report. They get the shit kicked out of them, but they explain that they brought a person who has immense power, and they just state that it's a summoner. And when they tell him that they're gonna,
he's the Duke of another country, but we can steal him.
Well, yeah, he's the Duke of another country, but he's a summoner, but he could be of use to the Empire. And when the one Duke tells them to bring him here so that he can basically be tested or at least reviewed, the dragon shows up and goes, yeah, no, you're not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this. This is, and I don't know if that was like, I sense it's a dragon, we're not bringing another dragon here because we're not going to disrespect him, or if it was, I sense power, it's dangerous power, we shouldn't be messing with power.
No, his concern is more like, no, I don't want to blow up the castle. It's like, I built this thing, it's my home. Like he instantly knew that they were going to have a fight. Like he knew that, right off the get-go. He knew, right? He was like, no, it's going to end up with a fight if I go over there. You know that, right? Like I really don't want to do this, please.
I mean, okay, see, I'm gonna have to question you on that because of what happens later in the chapter, though. But yes, he is forced to go over and review Dark. He shows up in his room. He's incredibly rude. Dark basically tells him to get the fuck out, and then he
doesn't tell him to get the fuck out. He's like, oh, we doing this? All right, I do it now.
No, he does tell him to get the fuck out. He's like, you're very rude. You came in here and asked me a bunch of random questions. You don't introduce yourself. You clearly don't have any manners. And then he goes, I sense you have a dragon sword. He's like, oh, so I know what you are too. You want to fight about it? And then he's like, can we not do that? And then he pulls out his sword and he's like, that sword's really powerful and has dragon fire engraved in it. Can you not swing it around? I really don't want you to destroy my city. And he's like, what do I care? And he's like, well, there's innocent people here. What's that matter? You're a powerful
I just want to fight.
Just fight me. Fight me, bro. Just so much testosterone and energy right off the get-go. Just fight me, bro. But he at least does manage to convince him, like Goku, to go out of the town and have this duel. And
I honestly don't think Dark would have like not held left. If, like he's like, I don't care where we fight, but like he's like, I just want to fight now. Like you fight now, right? Fight. And then he's like, let's just go outside of the city. But that's over there. Fine.
You know, he reluctantly did so, but Dark does what he always does, and in the middle of the fight, while he summons his Titan, the one dude transforms, and Dark just does what he does, and he just tanks all the shots that the guy throws at him, which, I mean,
he doesn't just tank it. He's like, no, I could absorb this. I got this.
Well, the first one he shields up against, and then he releases more power than he expects. So then he tries to absorb it, and he does manage to do so. But multiple times he's like, well, I'm going to do this again, but now I'm going to double the power. And he's like, oh, I probably won't be able to handle that. But
no, he doesn't like the first time either.
But it's not like, but Dark does the same thing he always does. He's like, oh, that looks really powerful. Let me take it head on. He doesn't do the, maybe I should dodge or deflect or block. No. Full force. Just come at me, bro. Yeah. And
then the Titan works out with him, and it's like, hey, let me help you absorb this. I'll absorb the electricity part. You just absorb the mana of the spell, apparently. Yeah.
Yep.
Of the dragon's breath.
Basically, the partners start working together in tandem rather well. But still, it is still enough to overwhelm him at the end of the whole conflict, as we can see from Dark's features when the fight is at the end of the thing. But it does the conflict does bring yet another dragon in from the sidelines to watch, and then out of nowhere Pop shows up and stops the fight. Granted, I don't think he actually knows it's the fight. He's probably thinking something else.
No. First someone else shows up. A different dragon shows up.
Well, yes, a different dragon shows up.
A red dragon shows up, and she's like, "Oh, you guys fighting?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fighting here. I'm just gonna like pull out some popcorn and watch." Basically,
I'm gonna let you know this is gonna be really terrible. This is gonna be really devastating, and it's probably gonna destroy the area. All right, cool. Magic circle. All right, go ahead, do your thing. Yeah. So she's just chilling on the side while this is going down. But before the big blast comes, Dad swipes in and basically goes, "What the fuck are you doing to my kid?" As he does. And you know, they instantly go, "Oh, noble gold dragon, I didn't know you were here. You're a wise ancient and noble and powerful. What brings you to these parts?" And that's where I would question you on the whole thing of like, this one dude has this caring factor about dragons, and yet an ancient shows up and he's like, "I respect you. Please don't kill me."
I mean, at least they realize, you know, seniority, right? Like that's basically what it is. Like, fine, like, all right.
I mean, he said like, "I'm the oldest one here, so I make the rules." So I guess that's the logic. I mean, and granted, it's more or less to say, like, he even states out loud, he's like, "Well, I wouldn't fight somebody that's more powerful than me. There's no point in that." And he goes, "Yeah, exactly. That there's no reason to do this fight if, you know, someone of higher standing shows up."
And then Dark is like, "Dad, just stand aside. I gotta finish this."
I want to fight. But not before Dad tries to shower all his love on his doting son. And Dark kind of explains the situation.
The red-headed dragon.
But the confused red-headed dragon shows up and goes, "You're a gold dragon, but why is your hair red?"
What? But that's a woman. No, but it's a man on the inside. What? I know that's a human, but that's even more confusing.
Well, she's like, "Well, but that's not it." She's like, "But that's a human with a dragon's heart?" Yeah. But, and then Dark's like, "Yeah, I'm a man on the inside, but that's a woman. That's not going to work." And then his dad's like, "Yeah, but genders don't matter to dragons, blah, blah, blah." And then it gets super confusing. And even she's like, "I can't follow the logic of this."
It's fine. Everyone is just apparently super gender fluid here.
Yes, so. I mean, basically, that's more or less what it is. It's very meaningless to them all. But yeah, it ends with both those two sitting down. He's like, "Just talk to my son." And the two adults will handle this situation that's going down. But I do like, through the whole bit there after the fight, Dark's hair is just completely fucked up. They don't at all like just do the anime thing where they just fix it in the next panel or something. He's like, "No, I'm just constantly disheveled."
Like, Dark cares about his hair. He's like, "Oh, it's fucked up. Okay, I'll just..."
Well, no, not even just him, but just like a lot of the times they just have it like, oh, you got fucked up in the scene, or the next scene they're like, okay, they've like dusted themselves off or something and they're back to normal. But no, they like carried it through. Like he came out of this battle really, really ragged, and he's just ragged through the whole scene, through the remainder of the chapter. Yeah. So it's just like, I like that key to detail there. Thank you for that. But yeah, so we've got 3 dragons in Dark now, all just chatting in a field.
And his
what's the highlight?
Our dad is trying to get him to marry, like, a marriage interview with the Red Dragon, right?
I don't know if he's trying to get him a marriage interview, or if he's trying to convince, or if he sees her as a candidate for a marriage interview with anything. Because
I feel like it's more like, it's because the way they talk is like he knows the Red Dragon's dad, right?
Well, he finds out that the Red Dragon, that she's the daughter of a Red Dragon that is a friend of his.
No, I wouldn't say it's a friend. It's more like they know each other, all right? Because he's talking shit, and then he's like, oh, but...
Well, no, he says that because when she asks him, like, why is your hair red? He's like, oh, I did this in, like, respect or honor of a friend. And he says her name, and he's like, and he goes, wait. She goes, wait, what? And he goes, yeah, you know that person? Like, of course I do. That's my dad.
And then he's like, oh, that son of a bitch. I mean, he told you about your dad. He was a good guy.
Yeah, he's the best person. Yeah, so I think that...
I think the important part here is, like, I feel like none of the dragons talk to each other. Because
that's what I figured more it is like the dragons don't really converse. They have like an understandable respect for one another, like tiers and systems and ancients and lower levels, and they all respect it, but they don't kind of like societally connect.
It's the immortality. It's like the immortal thing where like they've lived for so long that they like don't remember the last time they actually got together to talk about things. Because he's like, how come your dad didn't tell me that like he had a daughter? And then she's like, yeah, but dad never told us that like he knew a gold dragon. Like
he doesn't talk about you either.
Yeah, like, so, like, I think it's just one of those things where, like, they're so long-lived that they just haven't talked to each other since the last time they met.
Well, and time for them is very different, so, like, yeah, 1,000 years for them is kind of like 10 minutes, so it's not like, yeah, I'm not going to see my friend after I just saw him down the street. What the hell is that for? But, yeah.
But that was a millennia ago. Was it?
You sure? I could have sworn that was, like, Tuesday. Dragon time is so screwed up. But either way, yeah, that ends at least what's happening with Dark and his potentially new family. But it moves over to, I believe it's Chroma now, and their council talking about what to do. And it's basically the same discussion, but on a level of they're trying to basically summon World Meteor.
They're just going to nukes on the entire country. I don't think that's a good idea. No, we're gonna do it anyway. Protect them first, but what about all the civilians? There's no one is innocent. And I was like, oh, okay, is this where we want to go with this? Okay.
So these are our just standard boilerplate, I'm a villain because I'm a villain mentality here. So, Dark's alliance with Corinth is pretty much guaranteed.
We'll see what happens.
I mean, he's basically just stating like, yeah, we're just going to summon a world meteor and we're just going to hit all of these nations at once because fuck it. I don't think he's going to have much of a reason.
We don't need to follow the rules. I'm pretty sure the rules are there for a reason. No, fuck the rules.
The rules were made by people who already have power. Screw it. We need to destroy everything.
In honesty, when he was saying that, I was like, I feel like the rules were put in place by the dragons, but am I wrong? Right? Like
they haven't really stated. I mean, if you figure that the dragons are supposed to be highly respected, why do they have literal class titans that are considered dragon slayers? You know, like, it's hard to say.
I mean, they respect, Dark's dad because they're like, oh.
I mean, okay. Do they really respect him or do they fear him?
Okay, fine, fear him. They fear him. Okay.
No, I mean, they tried to attack him when he showed up, and then the head maid showed up. He's like, everyone leave this room or you will all die. So, yeah, I don't know if there's much respect as there's just much fear. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the plan is. I'm pretty sure.
I just feel like it's a bad idea to drop nukes on things when like you have actual living nukes.
Yeah, you have actual like living, breathing nukes that can do so much more to you. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe Dad will be like, "Let me show you what my power's like," and just raise the entire kingdom over there. This is why you don't attack my son. Yeah. Anything else from that chapter though?
No, that was it.
Yeah, I think we got everything out. I liked someone's comment. He was like, what was it? He's like, every dark and four dragons having a family discussion. My favorite part. Four guys talking about causing war. Boring. I was like, yeah.
I mean, I didn't think it needed that much dialogue in that chapter, but it's fine. It's the setup for the war. We know it's gonna happen, so it's fine.
I mean, yeah. We knew that it was coming. All right. We'll go ahead. We'll move on here to our second to last one with our big one of God of High School. I know you rushed through these two chapters not too long ago.
I don't rush through them. I mean everything at the same speed.
I mean, for most of everything else, it's rush. You know, you did them all. You did them pretty quickly here. It was no more than like 10 minutes. But either way, yeah, these last two chapters I actually enjoyed. I actually thought they weren't too bad, and solely specifically because they focused on characters I already know. I already know they're there. I already know they're established. I know their stories. And it focused more on the topic of Mookhyang Park and his more or less betrayal of everybody. So basically it opens up with the world president's forces breaking into the castle and making their way to Park in his main bay or his main chamber, and they're more or less trying to fight their way there so that they can either take him on or throw out what the plan is, which we're kind of getting told this as it's happening. And they do make it into the main chamber, but once they get there, basically Park just bows to them and goes, "I need you all to die to succeed for what I need to plan." And they all
I apologize, but yeah. I need to kill all
I need you to die. It's not I need to kill you. I need you to die. And then they all kind of like, what? And then he's like, I can kill you all in a second. Really, the moment you walked in this door, I could have just dusted you all. But I'm like, I respect you all too much for everything that you've done and I put you through. And, you know, I'm willing to give you a choice to like die on your own or let me do it and, you know, like, or to continue this fight that you're trying to inevitably lose. So, and it goes exactly as you would think. They all basically are like, yeah, fuck you. You lied to us. This was not what we were in for. And he just starts dusting them left and right. But the big focus is on Hercules, or at least the more or less the descendant of Hercules, and his more or less his main struggle to land at least one blow on Mookhyang Park. As we do get a little bit of not much of random backstory. We knew that he lost his leg during the fight with Zeus. They of course repaired him, and we know that his whole purpose and goal of wanting to even be in the GOH tournament was he wanted to be a part of the he wanted to be one of the letters. He wanted to be a part of the association. So, you know, the fact that he finally got it after all those years, and, you know, those momentary flashbacks of him talking with Park and like, you know, we're making you stronger so the next time someone like Zeus appears, you can make sure you land at least one good hit. And as everyone's getting dusted, he's trying to make that last big hit, and he does get pretty much taken out at the end, but the leg they gave him does manage to land at least one strike. But the whole thing was a plan to set up in order to use pantomime from Q, which we know at least is a dimensional attack, and it at least entraps anybody in it within rules and sets. So just having it focused on at least Q, Pandora, Descendant of Hercules, and okay, what was the kid's name? Do you remember his name? It's basically they thought he was the new. They thought he was the new Morihjin, but he wasn't. He's Mori something though.
Oh, the other monkey? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't the other monkey. I thought it was Dean.
Dean, thank you. It was Dean.
Yeah.
So
That wasn't Mori. That's the other clone that Mori already made it, and we already complained about. We did not need another clone arc.
Well, no, he wasn't a clone. He's an actual separate person, but
Yeah.
they believed he was Murray because he looked kind of like him, and he had the same drive to pull things. So that's why they thought. And the other clone wasn't a clone that Mori created either. That was a force-grown clone. So yeah, but still, having it focused around those individuals, it still pulled me through that chapter because it focused on people I already knew. The history was already there. I didn't have to be confused with learning a bunch of new history to try and either, have some kind of empathetic, cause for this person that we just met. But yeah, that I feel like that chapter was fine. I think you had a different take on it. You were not the biggest fan of it because it was still like not too set up to your standard.
No. I have problems with the way how the story is being told. I'm not over all the story being told, but just this chapter is being told. Like, not just because of this chapter, like everything that led up to this. Cool, I've been seeing this character before. I did not need another flashback. Like, everything's been explained through flashbacks, and that's the fucking problem. I'm like, why didn't you just organically show me that he got a metal leg earlier? Okay, I did not need you to flashback this metal leg. This could have been seen earlier, and I've been fine. Because at least then it'd be like, this is organically being told, and not just like so many flashbacks. I'm like, why are you just like? It feels like it's regurgitating information. Like, learn how to use literary tools like properly. All right, like use it too many times, and I'm like, okay, but
it does lose its sheen. But this is one point where I was like, this is fine. This wasn't like explaining an entire story bit that's going to be important, 8 to 10 chapters down. And the fact that it is focusing on that one person, I'm okay with, because I've already got history for that person. I already know, the personal attachment that he's had to Moban Park, and then now this end for him at the same time. It didn't feel as bad as some of the other story bit flashbacks have been. And granted, it's not massively high praise on a lot of levels, but still, I feel like that part was okay. So I at least enjoyed that part of that chapter. And also with them adding in Q and the whole plan of using pantomime to try and take Moban Park down. Yeah, I knew that wasn't going to work because none of these plans have really worked the way they've kind of put them together.
No, we don't know that yet.
I don't think we don't know it's not going to work, but I don't think it is in the way they're the fact that they even made it like, we're not waiting for Mori Jin. He's the wild card in all of this if we need him. So I don't think that the plan is entirely going to work out exactly to the letter they want, but I think it will do something.
We'll see
if
what
that's
happens.
what I mean. Yeah. But
it leaves it at a cliffhanger where, oh no, Q's head's been cut off. And
Q's head's been ripped off. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Well, the question is he actually dead? Because apparently Foxboy is technically dead right now. I think for all known's sake.
I'll be tell you this. If Q is dead, I'm fine with it being stupidly anticlimactic. All right.
Just like, you came up against a god. What did you expect would happen?
But if he's not dead, then I'll be like, why are we struggling here?
Because we have to keep struggling. We have to keep going through. But yeah, the next chapter though was the battle between Dai-Wei and Ryong, which I know has been pretty much a going struggle for you, because why do we care about Ryong? You mean
the fight that we don't actually get to see, right? Because like it happens and then suddenly we skip to the end of like.
Well, we got to see the beginning of the fight. We did get to see the beginning of the fight in the 2 chapters prior. We do see them duking it out, because then we get that whole the whole talk with him where he stops using his abilities, and he's like, I respect you enough to basically go down to a hand-to-hand combat.
And then we start the chapter here with a flashback of exactly what just happened, as to like, let me tell you that I'm using a clone now. I'm like, but we just saw this, right? Like, I don't need you to remind me that, oh, okay, you're just going to remind me and take, okay. and then they kind of have this little bit of fight, and then it cuts back, and then it cuts to like the Mookhyang Park versus Q thing, right?
No, that fight goes all the way through. That Mookhyang Park fight is one chapter, and then it ends there with, you know, his head, and then the next chapter is Dai-Wei and Ryung, and that's that whole chapter. So it's them fighting it out, them duking it out, well, of course the first part's with the flashbacks, but them duking it out, basically getting...
I am right. I am right. The fight against Mookhyang Park happens in between the Ryung and also Dai-Wei fight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we don't even get to see the fight. We only get to see the beginning of the fight.
Well, we don't get to see the continuing hand-to-hand fight.
No, we don't get to see what actually happens, because then we see Mookhyang Park rip off Q's head. That's the cliffhanger for that part. Then we jump over to Ryung versus Dai-Wei, and we don't even get to see their fight. We now just see Ryung's like, wait, what? How? And Dai-Wei's like, I'm a badass apparently. And I'm like, oh look, we're gonna get another fucking flashback. Because you didn't show us what happened, but now you have to show us in a flashback, isn't it? Why are you doing this? I don't understand. God damn it.
We noticed how much you love the flashbacks in the anime, so we're doing them now here too. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, at least I know we got to see the first part of Ryung and Dai-Wei's fight with weapons, because I remember that in the previous chapters before he decides to basically double up and start whooping him down. And then we get the in-betweens, these just leading up to now you have those two cliffhanger parts of Q's head's missing, Dai-Wei is now using new power. So
we just did the entire fight, guys, and then now next chapter we're gonna have a flashback that tells us the fight, and I'm like, but what was the point of that? What, you already had an ending that was like a cliffhanger where Mookhyang Park rips off Q's head. Now we're gonna have you add an additional cliffhanger where we know that you have to go back and explain to us how we got to this point, so with another flashback where we just had a flashback, and also the start of this chapter starts off with a flashback because you have to tell us exactly what happened two chapters ago, and this is just excess.
We're just giving you so much that you can't complain that there was never an explanation at the end of the day. Yeah, so yeah, out of all of that, I figured we're still got a mess of fights going on because everyone's fighting everyone right now. I'm sure, I think Mira's fight is done. I think she's beat what's his name, right? Currently,
I don't know.
I think
I have no idea.
Well, we'll see.
I thought that fight wasn't done.
I mean, I thought she at least beat him. I don't know if she like killed him.
I have no idea. None of these fights end.
They just ever continue going on.
No, we jump to the end of it, or like we jump to some part in the middle of it, and then we flash back towards what we missed in between. And I'm like, this is confusing. Just
okay, and you see, and that's why I liked the previous chapter where they're like, focus on the one fight, just the one entity.
Just because he did that one chapter right, he still ended up using a literary tool that he's been massively using again and again, which we know he has to use in the next chapter, unless we just don't explain it. Just if you tell me that next chapter is not a flashback that shows us what happened in the fight, and we just skip it, and he's like, "No, I beat you," I'd be like, "Fine, I'm fine with that. Just skip it. Just never ever explain it.
Never ever
show us the fight. Just skip it. Enough with the flashbacks." Gosh. And it's not even flashbacks that are like for like stuff that happened like a while back, okay? It's literally happening simultaneously, but you have to give us a flashback to you understand? Like
it's almost not even like a flashback as much as it's like a personal recap. More than anything. It's not even that.
It's so bad.
We're getting recaps within the story so quickly. Well, I mean, with all the things they have going on, it's not surprising that he wants to use so many recaps as it is. But either way, anything on at least those two chapters that you've got left?
No.
No? All right, then. We'll go ahead. We'll move on to our last one. We're going to close out here with our big dog in solo leveling, Jinwoo has made his claim, his stance at the conference, and we're moving on here to a lovely sit-down discussion with Miss Selenar again, as basically the government begs Jinwoo to protect their champions. Yeah, so it seems our previous idea that, you know, his overbearing power and his almost ominous threat doesn't seem to have like put him in anybody's negative light as we thought might occur.
I guess.
I mean, my logic to it is more or less that at first they were more on board. We're like, we're gonna buy him, or we're gonna basically threaten him into working for us. And because one of their champions got killed, that has kind of changed into, okay, now we need to kiss his ass to protect us because we're not sure we can do it ourselves.
You're the only person who I've seen who has limitless strength. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's at least a change in how that personal politics is kind of moved around from what we would have thought would occur. But yeah. Now the other thing though that we got out of all of that, between Selenar and him, and them explaining, you know, like, yeah, you're the only one I've seen with this kind of massive power. We did also get another appearance of one of the monarchs to appear back in Korea. And the ice monarch, the elf ice monarch. But this very specifically was pointed because he appeared in front of that's the Korean associate head, right? He's the head of the association. Yeah. He's the associate leader there, but they appeared in front of him, and he is basically like, yeah, you did very well, but I'm going to kill you now. And
I'll tell you something. You're one of 7 lights. And I was like, is this Kingdom Hearts?
You secretly found out? You're one of the 7 kings of light? The 7 princesses of light we need?
Yeah, exactly what that. I was like,
if you looked really close, you could see in his shadow Xehanort. I need you to collect him.
I mean that's what exactly I thought it was. I was like, so he's a princess, and the ice monarch here he looks just like Xehanort. Right?
Well, okay. Now I take that in there. He's not the princess because he very specifically states that. Like, I know who you are. Finally, it took me a while to track you down, but I know that you've placed 7 lights out there, and we found them all, and we've already killed 2 of them. I'm gonna kill you, and it's gonna take you a while to find a new host. So this is either the monarch or the
no, it's like they call him like the grace or something.
The grace or the gray light or something like that. But he's the one that supposedly chose, or at least the thing inside him is the one that chose these individuals. So yeah. It's
gotta be something to do with like the system, right? The game system.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if it has something to do with the game system entirely, because we know that the game system was, well, at least the one that the humans are using was designed by these other beings, the monarchs and the I think what they call them, the royals. No, what do they call them again?
I don't remember.
The angel class. They it was designed at least by them. So we know that they're the ones kind of, you know, in control of what's kind of going on there. But the fact that, you know, if this is either supposed to be something in place that's done by them, or if this is something else outside of that they just need to accomplish in order to start or kickstart the war that they want to happen. But the one big factor is he says that we've killed 2 of them now. So that comment that Jinwoo said when he was shadowing everybody at a gathering, he was basically just going to more or less spy on everybody to protect them rather than, you know, individually meet them all. He said one of them's missing, and he goes, oh, that one's probably already dead. And now we got the confirmation, like, yeah, we've killed that other one. But yeah, he he tries to defend himself, and that doesn't go super well. But he does unleash an attack that does break this barrier that he's put up, that the Monarch of Ice has put up in order to keep him from running. And it was all more or less a ploy so that the shadow that's watching over the association head can get out and escape, and brings Jinwoo to the battle. So now he's finally meeting up with another Monarch, but at least this one isn't chained down talking to him. So, yeah. There wasn't like a terrible amount of new information to gather, as much as there was just more or less action to these two chapters. But is there anything in there that you really wanted to bite down on?
No.
No? Nothing else in there? I mean, any big questions you got going forward or anything like that?
No.
You just got all that. Wait, no, it's Seraph that's reading this, right? He's
yes.
reading the light novel. Okay, so he would be the one I would probably have to kind of look at and be like, if I can guess something off his face. But yeah, so I just wanted to bring in that one, and I feel like, we're getting towards at least something, but we'll at least have this first fight with a Monarch that's more or less, it seems like he was heading the plan for the others as well. So we'll see what he has to say to Jinwoo, because I'm sure that this battle will be an exchange of words as well as weapons, and not just a straight up clash. But yeah, I think that does bring us all the way close to the end for this episode. We're still trying to work out the list for some of the other ones that are on hiatus. I did see, I believe, Tower of God is on its way back. I'm not 100% sure. It said something about it coming to Webtoons, and I'm like, it's already on Webtoons, so I'm not sure what they mean. I don't know if that means like it's making its return finally. So, but once that does get started up, we will be talking about that again. I know how much you love it. Oh, it's not that bad. You know it's not. Calm down. All right. But I will definitely want to say thanks everyone for joining us for this latest edition of the Project Webtoons. If you have not always, as before, please go ahead, click that subscribe button, as well as that like if you did enjoy this episode. Also, if you can, go ahead and leave a comment below for everything we talked about, anything we missed, anything that you wanted to bring up big that you'd like to pull into the chat. We always like hearing more discussion from everybody. Please keep an eye out for everything that's going to be coming up here soon. If you haven't, go ahead and check our homie Seraph at his Twitch page, where he streams some games every now and then. But we're definitely gonna think we can go ahead and close out this night one for us. It is, of course, me. It's your big man Sleepy,
and this is Arc Dragoon out.
Hey, everyone, take it easy out there.